Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar, joined today by Will Peterson. Will, how you feeling today?
I'm great, Joey. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Definitely a busy week. People are still coming down from that Broncos loss up against the Patriots. A lot of news is coming out, and you actually posted an article yesterday that has a lot of people, I would say, confused. I was definitely confused watching it, and there was definitely some miscommunication maybe between Bo Nix and Sean Payton on Bo's ankle injury, and it's strange to see these two not being on the same page because we're so used to these guys being a cohesive unit. I mean, they were incredible throughout the regular season. And then, of course, Bo going down late in that Patriots game, all the air is taken out of your lungs and all the wind is out of your wings, and it doesn't feel good. And clearly, those two guys were just miscommunicating a little bit. Sean Payton went out and said that they knew Bo Nix would be predisposed to this ankle injury that was coming, and Bo Nix rebutted that, saying there was nothing predisposed about his ankle. You wrote this article on Denver Sports yesterday, and I just want to hear straight from you. You know, what are we looking at here? I mean, this is obviously something that we haven't gotten used to in the 2 years that Bo's been here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that Sean Payton at his end of season press conference would say basically it was a matter of when, not if, Bo was going to break this ankle. And Bo kind of called his own press conference on Wednesday and sort of fired back saying, no, there was no predisposition. And I want to set the record straight on that. It was a clean break. My recovery timeline's 4 to 6 weeks. And oh, by the way, Sean doesn't know how many surgeries I've had, and he shouldn't be talking about that. That was really interesting as well, because when he broke it after the Bills game, Joey, I'll take you back to that Saturday night when Sean had his second press conference, and it was a joke. I understand it was a joke, but he did say on the record, you know, Bo told me he had one in high school, that he had one at Auburn, and if I had known that, I wouldn't have drafted him. And then he kind of chuckled, and everyone kind of chuckled. But clearly that comment got under Bo's skin too. So it wasn't just the Tuesday presser. It was the Saturday presser after he broke the ankle. Sean's now made two comments, one talking about how many surgeries and two talking about, the when, not if predisposed, that Bo sort of fired back on yesterday and clapped back on and really wanted to tell his side of the story. So listen, it's what? Today's January 29th. This is not going to be a story come September when they play their next meaningful football game. But it does feel like for the first time, really since that Raiders game, Bo's rookie year, when they sort of had the shouting match on the sideline, that head coach and franchise QB not exactly on the same page.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that you're exactly right with that. The fact that it won't be a story in September. This feels like a classic case of tensions being high after a loss in the AFC Championship. I mean, of course, that's going to happen. You lose in a game as big as that. Of course, Sean Payton's frustrated. I guarantee you Bo is frustrated that he wasn't out there. And when you hear things like that, as a person, not even as an athlete, so everybody can relate to this, as a person, when you're not able to be in the space that you want to be and you're hearing comments about you, it's going to fire you up a little bit. And we know that Bo Nix is a type to get fired up after things like, or at anything really. And honestly, it just seems like one of those like really just a miscommunication between the two. I guarantee it's already been worked out, but it is still troubling to see that this stuff is happening this early in the offseason. You want these two to be leading the charge into the offseason, getting ready for what's to come next year. And we're already at this point where we're like, okay, things are shaky. You know, things aren't feeling right. And it's not what you want to see at all. Do you think this is anything more than just a miscommunication, or is it something bigger, or tensions bubbling, or things starting to rise here?
No, I think it's mostly a miscommunication, and I think it's just two guys with fiery personalities, right? I mean, you look at it, who are the three most important people with the Broncos? It's Greg Penner's number one, and his ownership group's done such a phenomenal job. And then to me, in some order, 2, 3 is Bo Nix, Sean Payton, right? Like, yeah, George Payton's in that conversation. Pat Surtain's in that conversation. I get it. But to me, it's the head coach and the quarterback right behind the owner. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a miscommunication, a little bit of a dispute, maybe too strong a word. Maybe Bo was just clarifying yesterday, not disputing all that. But it is, you know, we're not talking about the guy who's working in the cafeteria and the punter, like they still have important roles. Everyone's got a fed. You got to punt the football. I get it, but they don't have the high profile nature of the head coach and the QB. So yeah, it's just a bummer because honestly, like you think about that Bills press conference and how sideways that went after they lost to the Broncos, and the owner interrupting the GM saying we lost because of a bad call, and we're sitting here going, thank goodness we don't have that in Broncos country. We got no drama here, none of that. And I'm not going to call this drama. I'm not going to stir it up just to stir it up. But for the people who say, nothing to see here at all, no, there's definitely a little something to see here. But like I said, I don't think, is anyone going to be losing sleep over this come training camp? No, I highly doubt that.
Yeah, no, in terms of drama, when you look around the league and other teams that failed to make the playoffs or lost in earlier spots where they were supposed to be going long distances like the Bills, there's bigger drama there. This is the best case scenario. Drama is always going to happen when you're supposed to go to a certain place and you end up losing earlier than you were expecting to. There's going to be drama. And the fact that this is the drama that's coming out of the Broncos locker room is overall good news. Literally just Bo Nix saying, no, my ankle's not that bad. Like that's what this is. Like, and we know there were injuries to Bo Nix during his college career, and you're expecting one to happen at some point during his career in the NFL. And it does suck that it had to come at this point. And I kind of want to pivot back to that game because I haven't got the chance to talk to you about that Patriots game. And I saw a clip that you posted on Twitter yesterday where you were talking, I believe, on Denver Sports Tonight on 104.3 The Fan about how everybody gassed up Jarrett Stidham. And they were like, we're going to be fine. The Broncos are going to be fine without Bo Nix. Jarrett Stidham can run that offense. You had a great take on that. And I highly recommend everybody who's watching, go to Will Peterson's Twitter and check out that video because I can't lie. I was one of those people gassing up Jarrett Stidham. And you were basically saying everybody who was sitting here talking about how Jarrett Stidham is a savior was wrong and very heavily wrong. Like you had a real strong take about the fact that people were really high on Jarrett Stidham when you knew that it was not going to be the same team. I'd love to hear you dive deeper into that here, just about how different it would be if Bo Nix was playing in that game against the Patriots.
Yeah, I just thought it was really misguided from a lot of people. And I understand optimism is the name of the game and people don't want to, you do your show at 9 a.m. People don't want to get to work, get in the office, watch your show and feel like, they're doomed. They're screwed because Bo broke his ankle. But the reality is they kind of were. And it felt to me like so many people with large microphones and large social media platforms just sort of said, nothing to see here. They're going to be fine. Going from Bo to Jarrett, they're going to be fine. Going, really? We don't have any evidence. Jarrett Stidham was 1-3 in his career. He had thrown 8 touchdowns and 8 picks before that AFC title game. New England scored 10 points, Joey. And 7 of the 10 were the direct result of a very bad decision from Jarrett Stidham. I sat here with you last Thursday and told you, what can he not do? Can't make catastrophic mistakes. He made a catastrophic mistake that gave the Patriots 7 of their 10 points. So, I was just disappointed how many people, just told their audiences, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. It's, first of all, that's disrespectful to Bo Nix because you're acting like Bo Nix wasn't a huge reason why the Broncos went 14-3. And second of all, that's just based on blind faith. That was not based on anything we knew when it came to Jarrett Stidham. He had the great first drive, the second drive, the really nice ball to Mims and the touchdown to Sutton. Then what happened? They didn't score the rest of the football game. 0 points. Now, some of that's on Will Lutz too. Some of that's on the O-line getting that kick block that could have made it 10-10. I understand all that, but yeah, I'm not trying to take victory laps or anything like that. I am just pointing out as a media, and it's a collective media, it's not just Denver sports. I actually think we were some of the best. I'm talking about other outlets. It just bothered me that they would just so willingly pretend like Bo breaking his ankle wasn't that big a deal when it was a massive deal. And I can say it. I think you can probably say it. I think 90% of Broncos country can say it. If Bo Nix plays in the AFC title game, we're sitting here previewing the Super Bowl. We're not talking about all this other stuff going on. The defense was outstanding that day. Best game they had played in 2 months. If you have competent quarterback play that afternoon at Empower Field at Mile High, snow or not, we're booking tickets. People are booking tickets. We're headed to Santa Clara in a few days.
Oh, 100%. I don't know about anybody who would disagree with you there. And I think we talked last week, and I was talking about how Jarrett Stidham can do this. Like, there's a possibility Jarrett Stidham could win this game. And I feel like I said something along the lines of you to where it's like, No, this is just purely belief in Jared Stidham. There was nothing proving that he could go win that game other than the fact that I was riding high off that Bills win and hoping that the defense would play the way that they did and that Jared Stidham would have his mistakes covered up by the wide receiver room. And that didn't happen. And the mistakes came. And we got to remember, this is an entertainment show. We're not breaking news here. We're not talking about the big things happening around the league. We're not talking about the realistic possibility of Giannis Antetokounmpo coming to the Nuggets. We're here to talk about what games would look like and what games can look like. And that is what we did last week. And clearly that did not happen. Jared Stidham was not able to get him over that hump. And again, for everybody watching, I would highly recommend going to Will's Twitter and checking out that video that you posted, because I was watching it yesterday and I really, you went in. I loved that a lot. It was fun to see somebody, really keeping it real and honest, because there is a lot of that in the Denver media right now of people just like, no, everything's fine. It's like that. It's like that picture. The one I'm talking about with the dog sitting with the coffee cup saying everything's fine. That's how we were feeling in Broncos country last week. But
oh, by the way, the room is on fire and the dog is saying everything's fine, right? It's like, if the room's on fire, not everything's fine. And when Bo broke his ankle, I was trying to tell people the room was on fire and no one really wanted to listen.
Yeah, no, you're not why I'm blanking on his name, but the British are coming. That guy was alerting everybody. Nobody's listening to that guy this time around. Nobody's listening. Wow.
Are you talking about Paul Revere, Joey?
There it is. I failed history in high school, so don't blame me there. But
just real quick, a thought on what you said too. Like there's a lot going on, and we're not sitting here talking politics or war or anything like that. We're talking sports at the end of the day, right? And ultimately, everyone's allowed to have an opinion and everyone's allowed to be optimistic. That's great. It just sometimes maybe don't be overly optimistic when your franchise quarterback breaks his ankle, because it can blow up in your face, and it blew up in a lot of people's faces.
Yep, 100%. And going off of that a little bit, what are the chances? Okay, so let's just, again, hypothetical. That's what we're here for. The Broncos get past that game. Let's say the 4th and 1 was converted and the Broncos ended up scoring a touchdown. They win 14-10. With Jared Stidham, there was never a chance they were going to beat the Seahawks or the Rams, right?
No, I don't think so. And that's what makes this all that much more frustrating is obviously the NFL was wide open this year. Like if you had Bo Nix against Sam Darnold, I think the spread would be 2.5, 3 points in Seattle's favor. It would not be some monumental crazy thing. And I'd probably pick the Broncos to win the Super Bowl, because what's Bo done all year? He wins games and he's clutch. But yeah, you're right. Like losing to the Patriots stings. Don't get me wrong. But Joey, if they were playing the Seahawks in Santa Clara in 9-10 days at this point, what would the final score be? The final score of Super Bowl 48 was 43-8. I don't think it would have gotten that ugly, because I have more faith in this defense than that. But yeah, with Jared Stidham, they probably lose 28-10, 28-10, something like that. Yeah, 27-13. I mean, it would have been Seattle by double digits. So, yes, do you want to see your team play in the Super Bowl? Of course you want to see your team play in the Super Bowl. But if we had to watch Jared Stidham versus this Seahawks defense, it would not have been real pleasant. What have the Broncos done in their history? They've gotten blown out in multiple Super Bowls, from John Elway to Peyton Manning's first one here in Denver. I don't think anyone in Broncos country, whether you're 20 years old or you're 60 years old, wanted to see another blowout in the biggest game in American sports.
Yeah, and it goes back to this old question I asked a couple of years ago, and I can't remember when I asked it, but would you rather see the team that beats you in any sport, your favorite team, loses in the playoffs, and the team that beats you, would you rather see them win the Super Bowl or lose the Super Bowl? Because the Patriots, in this case, are likely going to lose to the Seahawks, and I, for one, hate the idea of the team that beat you losing in the biggest matchup, because I want to know that had the team that I'm rooting for succeeded when they're playing the team that beat them, that they would have had the possibility to win the Super Bowl. Now, in this case, it's likely going to be Seahawks again by double digits. I'm not high on this Patriots team at all. I think they've had the easiest route to the Super Bowl and the easiest route to a 14-3 record. And it's going to blow up in their face against the Seahawks. And it's one of those where it's like, damn, I wish it could have been the Broncos with Bo Nix, because they would have had a really good chance to beat the Seahawks. What would you pick there? Do you want the team that beats you to win the Super Bowl or to lose it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would normally say win the Super Bowl, but I mean, look who's playing each other. We don't like either of these franchises in Broncos country, right? The New England rivalry is very well documented over the years. And look at Seattle. Not only did they beat the Broncos in 48, but they fleeced them in the Russell Wilson trade too. I don't have a lot of sympathy or love for Seahawks fans either. So, yeah, it's not like there's a fun team in this Super Bowl that Broncos country can easily root for. Bad history with both Seattle and New England. So, yeah, it's one of those. I'm not going to be real thrilled either way when someone ultimately hoists the Lombardi Trophy. But I guess my answer would ultimately be if New England wins it, then it's going to sting even more because you should have beaten the Patriots at home. You held them to 10 lousy points in a title game on your home field, and you couldn't get the job done. So the reality is come Super Bowl Sunday, we're all going to watch because that's what we do. We're football fans. That's the industry we work in. But there's not going to be a real satisfying result either way watching one of those franchises win the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I don't know why, but my gut's telling me go Seahawks. I want to see the Sam Darnold experiment really play out. I want to see him go from the Jets to the Seahawks and win. I mean, that would be a fun thing to watch. You got to watch for players at this point. When you hate both the teams, find a player that you like on one of the teams and root for them.
That's a good life philosophy. I like that. And you're right. Sam Darnold's a cool story. And obviously he was such a bust with the Jets, but he wasn't actually the bust. It was the organization that was the bust. And then he obviously goes to Minnesota and has a great year and then goes to Seattle and has a great year.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's definitely going to be fun to watch. Will, thank you so much for joining. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.